Stephanie and I'm a Senior Associate and Accredited Family Law Specialist.
And I'm Megan Armstrong, a solicitor, and we're both from Michael Lynch Family Lawyers.
Megan and I are going to talk to you today about the exciting topic of subpoenas. Now, subpoenas are only relevant if you have already commenced court proceedings.
That's right. So the best way to receive documents that you'd like to rely on is to request them from the other party, but unfortunately those documents aren't always forthcoming. So if you do already have court proceedings on foot, that's when subpoenas become relevant.
Now, subpoenas can be for generally two types of things. One is a subpoena for documents to be produced. The second one is for someone to give evidence, and the third type is really a combination of those two. So the most common that we find is subpoenas to produce documents. Now, in property settlement matters, those types of documents usually relate to bank statements, but can relate to a whole range of things, including pay slips if you're subpoenaing someone's employer. So yeah, all sorts of documents there in relation to property matters. Parenting?
In parenting matters, we often see subpoenas for the children's records from their school, the Department of Education, or medical records either relating to the children or the other party. Often there can be the Department of Child Services. They might be subpoenaed if there's been a notification made or you think that there's been a notification made. In either sort of matters, there can be the police records. They might be relevant if there's been any incidences or where there's been domestic violence as well.
Now, with respect to police documents and medical records, with those documents, they're sensitive documents, and when you do inspect the documents at the court, you won't be able to take copies of those. So once you file your subpoena, it also then needs to be served on the party. Now, service is usually personal service, so you need to make sure that when you are serving the party with the documents, that you serve so within an appropriate amount of time before the next court day. There is certain time limits involved, so just be aware of that.
And when serving the subpoenas, you will also need to provide conduct money. So there's a rule that the minimum conduct money payable is $25, but police and often hospitals and different medical providers will need a higher amount of conduct money to cover their costs of complying with the subpoena.
So once the subpoenas are complied with, the documents will be produced to the court, so they won't be produced to you personally. You'll need to make an inspection time at the court to look at those documents. Some documents you can obtain copies of, such as bank statements, but like those sensitive documents I talked about before with the police records and medical records, you really will only be able to inspect them, so you can take notes or dictate notes, but you won't be able to take copies of them.
Another important thing, Deb, that you have to be mindful of is that a party might object to a subpoena. So either the subpoenaed party or the other party to the proceedings might object if they consider that the subpoena is not relevant or if there's certain confidential information in there that shouldn't be disclosed.
And as you were saying before, Megan, if the scope of the subpoena is too wide, then that can be objected to as well. So if you're asking for bank statements for, say, 15 years or 10 years, that might be objected to on the basis of it's too wide or not relevant.
So it's important with your subpoena that you're specific as to what documents you're requesting, include the date ranges from and to, and specify which documents exactly that you're requesting that they provide.
So subpoenas are a bit tricky. It's always best to get legal advice in relation to them first to make sure that you are issuing the subpoena to the right party, that you have complied with time limits as to serving them, and also going to the court to inspect them, and particularly if they're objected to. The court also has some brochures that you might be interested in at the Federal Circuit Court and Family Court for parties who are served with a subpoena and parties who are issuing a subpoena. So have a look at those because they're a little bit more specific with detail in there. Otherwise, make an appointment to come and see us. Megan and I are more than happy to talk to you about subpoenas and using that as a really important tool to get documents or evidence in your matter.
Yeah. So one last thing to leave you with is before you go and file your subpoena, make sure you consider if anything nasty might pop up about you in police records or something like that. There could be some skeletons in the closet that you don't want to be before the court, so have a think about what might be produced. Otherwise, if you've got any questions, feel free to give us a call.